Ahoy, hoy. Welcome back, everybody, outside the cinema. Another week, another couple movies, couple picks from our friends that are supporters on Patreon. How's everybody doing? Hope you're
Bold
doing
of
well.
you to say friends.
Friends. Well, I guess it's more like family. We don't have
People
to like-
I'm not sure I trust, I think, is what I'm going with.
It's a good way to look at it. Yeah, a couple more on Patreon this week.
It's all in good fun. I'm not.
No, yeah, for sure. It's every time we start the show now, we've been doing it for so long. And I was just telling you, today on the day of recording, April 14th, is Travis's birthday. And we started the show before he was born.
Yeah.
So the show is older than my 14-year-old son. And it's just it's fucked up, man.
It is. It is. I now have pictures of the kids that were just born when the show started driving my car.
Insane.
Yeah. I didn't think, honestly, because podcasts had started to fade and stuff, I didn't think we were going to make it past 10 years. I thought 10 years is a good long run, but we're still going. So that's
here's the
good.
Thing. Yeah. And here's the thing. I know I just said that twice. Sorry.
I know, but it's an important thing.
Right. And here's the thing.
Yes.
We have a decent amount of support on Patreon. So it's the type of thing where I gauge that as if those supporters and those friends and those family members of our community still want to support us that way, then we should still be doing the show for them. And I know they would all say that if we don't enjoy it, we should stop. And we would. If we didn't enjoy doing it, we would stop.
Yeah. And, maybe we almost stopped this week.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
Oh God. One of the movies we covered this week, I made it 10 minutes in and I'm like, I'm gonna watch this later. 10 minutes. I thought I had made it a half hour into it.
So the show this week is brought to you by Patreon supporter Andrew. Andrew's been a supporter for a number of years. He's one of the ones that we would consider family. What the hell?
Yeah, so when I show up at his house to fight him, he'll understand. It's a family thing.
You're going to have to get to him in the UK because he's one of our UK listeners. So I can get to him this summer, you son of a bitch.
Well, I'll buy a nice big suitcase and we can all go live there.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to live there right now.
It's better than here.
That's true.
And just for the record, because we do every now and then say some stuff about current events going on. None of us in this country wanted what is happening. It's a fucking disaster. We're ashamed and embarrassed. And if I could apologize for the decent part of the country, I would. But I just feel like it's important, since we're international, to say
for sure.
We are not a part of this, and we will actively fight it as much as
And
we
one
can.
of the interesting things of it, too, is the people that voted for the regime, that's the only word I can, the regime that's in now, they didn't want this either. So
No. And I heard something interesting that social studies and civics, specifically civics, has been sort of quietly reduced. So people don't know the history of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. They don't understand how government works, and that's why the millennial generation of people that voted for Trump, that's how they got duped. They weren't taught. And that's what I keep telling my kids. I said, you got to be curious. You got to know why. Just seeing something isn't enough of a reason. Why were these people sent to El Salvador? Who is making money off of this? Why are there new laws being made? And there's a whole thing to look for propaganda, and it's not even propaganda anymore. It's just straight up lies.
Yeah.
Anyway, I could go on and on, but I want to say everything Trump says is a lie. Ukraine started the war. Israel's been the aggressor for 75 years. The world's fucked. Putin needs to be shot in the head to end all this madness.
John Barr.
You can also substitute any other president of the United States that's currently serving for Putin in that sentence, but the Secret Service isn't going to let me say the whole thing. But that's the only thing that's going to stop this. Also, by the way, where is his damaged ear from that gunshot wound he got from a fucking AR-15?
That's a great question.
The dude that got his ear bit off boxing has more of a
Evander
wound.
Holyfield.
That's his name. Yeah, he has more of a wound 35 years later than Trump does 6 months after he was quote unquote shot in the ear. We all know I am probably the smallest of wrestling fans, but even I know if you cut your head, it fucking bleeds. That was like mankind's whole thing, wasn't it?
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. I know that. That's why if I'm in a car accident, I'm going to grab a handful of glass and mash it into my forehead. So,
Fair enough.
but your head wounds bleed because you need a lot of blood to your brain. And I don't know what the blood's doing in his head specifically, but it's there and it's fake. It was fake. The Secret Service didn't react the way they normally would. Nobody pushed him down to the ground.
I originally was like, no, it happened. But now the more you see, like, it, no.
He doesn't even mention it. He hasn't mentioned it in months. No.
That was the thing. He needed it then. He needed it.
Yeah, but what he really needed, and I said this a little while ago, and I was kind of on edge, and I apologize if I was mean to you, but I've been following this one group of people that have been auditing all of the swing state election results. And I know I'm going to sound like a conspiracy theorist because that's exactly what the other side wants. That's why they've been yelling about it for years. Votes were changed. There is data, there's graphs, there's charts. They were explained. I've spent since November learning about statistics and how this shit works so I won't be fooled. And on election day, in 4 of the swing states so far, after a certain time, like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, I forget exactly, the way the votes are represented does not match every other state. Usually, say everything stays in a general straight line with little bumps, right? And you have red on top and blue on the bottom, and they're both going the same way. And they should stay about the same because if red's losing, they're going to stay underneath, right?
Mm-hmm.
After a certain time on election day, the red and blue cross over each other and switch. In every swing state, Trump gained votes after a certain time, like 2 in the afternoon. They all switched. So all I'm saying is the data that I was shown, I know I sound like a crazy person, but this is what they want. They don't want you to be able to question their actions. At this point, I believe, just like George Bush and Al Gore, we do not have the correct president in the White House. Trump has had to lie, cheat, and steal everything he's got in his life. He doesn't pay his contractors. He doesn't pay his employees. He said he fucking jails people that argue with him. We really think he won this thing, like, legitimately? All right. Yeah. The X's should be over his eyes. The X's should be over his eyes. And I swear your TV is not as smart as you think it is because the Secret Service would have already been to my house if my TV was listening to all the shit I was yelling at YouTube.
Well, it's not your TV, it's your phone, and Apple's trying to decide how much they want to charge that for that information. Meaning, like, how much, like, they're going to be like, hey, we definitely have information on people you can go after, but you need to talk to me about tariffs.
Yeah.
Man, now I sound crazy.
No, you don't. That's the thing. I hadn't heard that, and it totally tracks. And you know how critical I am of presented information. Mm-hmm. I will not believe it until I can just try to prove it wrong and then can't. And my boss actually asked me that. She said, is there anything you can think of? We got a file that was 24 frames per second, and my projector does not like that. But it worked, and it was an encrypted file, so I couldn't convert it and then make it into the file I needed. So my boss said, is there any possible way that this file could damage the system or make it behave weird afterward? Mm-hmm. And I the way I answered it after, I looked at it and I'm like, oh, that's the scientific method. I wrote back, I don't think it can, but I haven't found anything that says it will. Because I'm trying to prove a negative, which is not possible. But what do we got there? What's the music there? What do we got? All right. So join us as me and the dude from Star Trek Next Generation and Robert Stack investigate the election of 2020. Blah.
Do you know that the friggin' like real versions of those aren't like available on like streaming services and stuff?
What do you mean?
Like the Unsolved Mystery soundtracks, like they're not like the real versions of
Really?
it aren't available on streaming.
Huh.
I have the vinyl of them, which is awesome. There's 3 of them.
It would be, yeah. That's
3 of them.
decent mystery music.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's fucking great. It's still so creepy. It's still so
Nice.
creepy. Anyway, let's get back to the show. Now that we've alienated people that
No
are like,
one.
listen, I
No
agree with
one.
you guys. I listen to you so I can hear about movies.
Yeah, I know, but I'm sitting here thinking we got a lot of people in the rest of the world we're pissing off. I will make sure I don't do that.
I don't think we are. I think our listeners, we have been very transparent with our beliefs and how
Yeah.
we feel. And if
Plus-
there's anyone that still listens to us that doesn't like that, then they've got a thicker skin than
then
me.
Thanks for hanging around.
Anyway, so Andrew from the UK programmed
Yes.
the show this week. Andrew says, it's taken me ages to decide what to choose. And then he made like a crying happy emoji face.
Okay, okay.
So here's 2 that I have recently watched that I don't recall you guys ever covering. First up, Dream Scenario from 2023. We have never covered it. We did talk about it on the 2023 end of year show because it was on my top 10 list.
Oh, okay, right.
And Jeremy 1973, which I had never heard of.
I might have heard of the title, and I've heard of the main star, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I
Well, he's the
didn't know
voice of
anything about it. Isn't it Beast?
Yeah, he's voice of Beast in Beauty and the Beast. That's what it is.
Yeah. Robbie Benson, who
Yep.
in the 70s was going to be this major superstar. I don't know what happened. I didn't look him up, so.
He's worked regularly, and so is she,
He's-
the female lead in it has too.
Yeah. Not in movies though. A lot of TV.
A lot of
stuff,
TV, yeah. She's basically been on every version of SVU, and like SUV.
Yeah, and all of the guest star shows from the 70s and 80s.
Yep.
Yeah.
I recently saw Jeremy on Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray, so I'm not sure what the streaming situation in the USA is. Well, it is included in streaming on MGM Plus, which is the most frustrating app ever, by the way.
Oh, well, I don't think you're going to have to worry about that if Amazon's going to buy MGM, right?
They already own them.
Oh, they do?
They've owned them for a while.
Oh, then what the hell is the holdup at work? Okay, never mind. I'm just thinking of something else.
Okay.
We're trying to license something to show, and last I heard, the MGM Amazon merger was holding it up, so it could be legal stuff after the merger happened. I don't
As
know.
far as I know, they're already like it's a done deal, and it's been done for a little bit of time now. I don't think it's a anything thing.
Well, I'm guessing for the older movies, there must be something that they're going to work out later after they organize the whole deal. Or I just have old information. That's always possible. I don't know.
It's one of those apps that trying to log into it is just a fucking nightmare because it used to be Epix.
I remember that.
And if you had Epix on your cable, you got the app.
Oh,
So
yeah.
So for years, I had the app. And then all of a
Okay.
sudden one day, and I'm assuming it's when the Amazon things went through, my subscription through Verizon was no longer valid. So
Huh.
like I could still log in and it would say I was logged in through Verizon, but it
Yeah.
wouldn't let me access any of the quote unquote premium content. I had to sign up for a separate account, which doesn't make any real sense. And I couldn't really find much on it. And then so I was like, oh, what the fuck? I'm like, I know there's a version of Jeremy available to stream on YouTube currently that you can watch.
Yeah.
But anytime I know a company like Vinegar Syndrome or somebody has a version of it, I try to actually, watch it. So I'm like, well, I'll just sign up for the 7-day trial and then cancel the
Right.
subscription.
Yeah.
So I did. I watched
Okay.
the first half of it a day last week. And then I was going to finish it in the studio over the weekend. And no matter what I did, I could not log into the app.
Huh.
So like,
Do you think it was a on their end, like a big like DDoS kind of thing where nobody could access anything?
I think because I canceled the subscription and just they
Oh.
immediately like logged me out, even though it was supposed to be a 7-day
Okay.
thing. So
All right. So basically it's the I want to give my 2-week notice, and they said, "Great, you're fired."
yeah, pretty much. It's like, you know what? Why don't you just take your things with you now?
Yeah, that's more common then. Anyway, I'm not going to start. Go ahead.
It's okay. But so those are Andrew's picks for us for this week. Two very different flicks. We did talk about Dream Scenario on the show in 2023. We're gonna start with that. Let me just get the trailer up here. You had not watched this before, right?
No, it was on a list. I had it ready to go, but I just couldn't pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, I remember it came out towards the tail end of 2023. I want to say like November or so. So it was kind of one of those ones that kind of came in the 10th hour.
Yeah, it filled up an already busy spot for us to watch stuff.
You've been on my mind recently. Because you keep popping up in my dreams.
Have you been dreaming about me?
Have I been dreaming about you?
Yeah. Who's actually had a dream about me? I'm not actually doing anything to them.
I wish I was the one people were dreaming about.
Me too.
Yeah, no, it's something.
That's a fucking weird fucking trailer.
Yeah.
Played off very very comedy, which it's really not.
No.
Dream Scenario 2023, directed by Christopher Borgli. He wrote and directed it. Let's take a look at him. What do we know about him?
He hasn't done much.
No,
I know
he's
that.
pretty early on. This film, Sick of Myself, that art looks vaguely familiar. He's Danish. This guy, is he Danish? Norway. He's from Norway. He's Norwegian.
Yeah, oh yeah, I couldn't remember exactly.
So this is his big mainstream breakthrough. He's actually got a decent amount of stuff in terms of his directorial stuff going back to 2011, but it's all Norwegian.
Yeah, it's nothing that we've been exposed to over here.
Yeah.
Yet.
Some of it is shorts, some of it is stuff. So this was his kind of introduction, and this is a film that A24 picked up, starring Nicolas Cage as Paul Matthews. Funnily enough, I went to a high school with a kid named Paul Matthews.
I think everybody did. That's a very common name.
Yeah. Actually, it is, isn't it? It is. Lily Bird, Julianne Nicholson, who I always is like, oh yeah, she was in Grey's Anatomy, but she wasn't. She's been in a ton of stuff, but not Grey's Anatomy.
Okay.
So she was in like the Weird Al movie. I think she was in the Marilyn Monroe movie Blonde. Is that what it was?
What character did she play? Who was she?
In what? The Weird Al movie?
No, in the one we're talking about.
She was the wife.
The wife. Okay, yeah. I had to make sure.
And then Tim Meadows shows up too, and that's about the
Tim Meadows is what gives it the comedy feel in that trailer, like for the whole movie, because he's kind of funny. He actually plays the same role in this as he does in Andor, more or less.
And Mean Girls.
Just a dude at a desk. Yeah.
And Dylan Baker shows up briefly also. So Dream Scenario is a very interesting idea and very interesting narrative to tell. You have Nicolas Cage, who plays Paul. He is a very ordinary, like boring, not really interesting professor at a college. He's one of those really smart guys who thinks he's the smartest guy in the room and just thinks that he's way more interesting than he actually is.
Yeah, and he's every senior LL Bean model that you've seen.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's all he is. He's just an image on a piece of paper kind of thing.
Right. It is interesting though when you get to see Nicolas Cage do something like this, because so many of his roles, he's got the hair plugs. He's like, it's about still looking really young. And in this, he's got what was the other movie he did where he was bald with a chunk? Was it The Weatherman? Either way, he's got the the old man horseshoe bald thing going. He's a little overweight. He's kind of frumpy.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of going through life. He's like, he's not a bad dude, but he's
just doing what you do. Yeah.
He's just a guy. He's just like the type of guy where you're like, you don't really want to talk to him. Like you just,
there's
nothing about you that's interesting.
There's nothing wrong with that because he doesn't want to be noticed. He just wants to do his thing. Yeah.
He doesn't know that he wants to be noticed.
Nobody knows. And then it goes too far and you don't want that anymore. But that's the story of life.
So what ends up happening with Paul, the film opens with this sequence where he's standing by the family pool and he's raking the yard, and his daughter is sitting at a table by the pool, and the glass table she's sitting at shatters.
Hmm.
And then something falls into the pool, and then a body falls into the pool, and she starts to freak out, and he just watches her, and then she starts to float, and she starts to float away, and she starts screaming for help, and he doesn't do anything. And then it cuts to them at the breakfast table, and she's telling him about this dream that she had, and he's like, I just sat there, I didn't do anything, I didn't help you in any way, and she's like, no. He's like, well, you know I wouldn't do that. He's also the type of guy that needs reaffirming on that he's important and he's a good guy. Like he needs to
that
be
he will do
reaffirmed
the
that.
right thing. Yeah.
I mean, you know that I wouldn't let you do that, right?
Yeah, I thought his reaction was a little hard at the beginning. He like went a little hard on it. It should have been like, that's ridiculous. You know, I would do anything I could to protect you. And that's it. You leave it for 5 more minutes.
Right.
But he went full in. And I'm going to say this right in the beginning, and this may be blasphemous. I don't give a shit. I think Nick Cage was miscast in this. But that's me.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
We'll get
to
it. We'll get to it. So that kind of sets the idea that he appeared in his daughter's dream, which doesn't seem weird in any way, shape, or form. So he talks to his wife a bit about how he's got this he has this idea, and he's got this meeting with this person he used to know, and he's talking about, we learned that he's a scientist and he studies ants and like does all these different things. And former colleague of his is writing a paper that is using one of the ideas that he had pitched at one point. So he has a meeting with this woman, and basically like he like tries to accuse her of stealing his idea, but he really doesn't have any like proof. And she just is like, she's like, you never wrote anything. You had made a mention of it and discussed it, but there's nothing written about this. So like, I don't understand how you, because he's like, well, I just want a credit. You know, he's like, I'd like to be credited. Why am I not credited? And she's like, because you didn't really, there's nothing to prove that you said this. Now, she could have, you know, probably played it a little better, but she didn't necessarily need to. So like, if you're talking business, the idea that she would have to credit him and potentially pay him, but she doesn't need to.
Well, I mean, it's what I think what's going on. If it's a scientific paper, then just getting your name in it is kind of a huge win for you on the project. And it's the way he did it. I didn't care that he's like, give me credit where credit is due. I came up with that name. I have the theory. I just haven't written the book about it. And he could have said, instead of being a mewling little fucking baby, he could have just been like, I get credit, right? Where's my name listed? And been a little more, you know, than just, oh, well, why don't I get credit for this? It was my idea. That's how he sounded to me the whole movie.
He didn't sound like that, but that's fine.
He was close. That's how it sounded to me.
It was actually more of so why am I not credited?
Yeah, it was whiny.
Why not credited?
He did get really whiny. I just
And so that kind of sets the stage, and he keeps talking about this book he's going to write about it. And now that like she's got this article coming out, he doesn't know how he's going to write his book, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, goes to school, he teaches in school, and he's getting kind of stared at by people, and stuff is kind of weird. And one of the students says to him about how he was in her dream. And he's like, really? Okay, that's odd. And he's like, well, what was I doing? And she's like, you were just there. And they show the dream. I don't remember exactly which it was, but it was another situation where something was happening with her, and he was just kind of there, just chilling.
Yeah. That's a lot of all of the beginning ones.
All of the original ones, yeah. He just kind of appears. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't affect the situation in any way. Like there's one where the guy's running away from like this like skinned monster thing that's chasing him, and the guy's just like over there. And he's just like watching it happen. He doesn't intervene in any way, shape, or form. And then it starts to snowball, and all of these people start dreaming about him. Like we're talking like people around the world, like thousands of people are dreaming about him, and it becomes a thing. So he at first just doesn't really kind of like want to do much with it, but then he gets caught up in the all right, well, let's talk about it. And they have a session where he's, teaching in class and he's having everyone sharing their dreams about him and talking about, and it's the same story over and over. The dreams are all different, but
Right.
his role in them is all he's just there.
Yeah, which reinforces how he feels about himself and
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make him feel good. That's the one consistent point, I think, between all of them, is that this phenomenon is reinforcing how actually insignificant he is.
Yes. So as it starts to play out more, he becomes somewhat of a viral celebrity, where in terms of not even just viral, just becomes a celebrity. And, companies want to work with him. So he goes to meet with an agency with Michael Cera as the main guy who's actually, I thought he was great. He with the no-name dad baseball cap and the polo shirt and fit the role perfectly.
Yeah, he was a piece of shit.
Yeah, he was just completely worried about himself and nobody else.
Yeah,
So-
it's his business, and they're just something. He's a tool. That's all this guy is. He's a tool for everybody to use because he doesn't assert himself.
Yeah, and he thinks of himself as this upscale scholar. So he comes into this meeting and he's like, "Listen, I want to write. I got a book I want to write." And they're like, "Okay." They're like, "All right, cool. Book." But Sprite wants to do a commercial with you.
Yeah.
And it's like, "Oh, I don't know if I want about Sprite." He's like, "Can't we just focus on the book?" And in my head, I'm just like, "Dude, I get what you're saying." But you gotta as a
It's not the place.
right, and knowing you gotta play ball, man. It's the type of thing where it's like, okay, cool. I do have this book idea. I want to put that out there for you guys. Okay, what else is coming on? And then you do a couple things and you make a little bit of money, and then you're like, hey, listen,
Yeah,
you show your sustained success,
exactly.
and
Yep.
then you go forward with it or whatever.
Yeah.
And he talks about the book and he just bores the pants off these people. He's talking about how it's ant colonies and
Yeah,
and they don't even understand what he's talking about.
He's an analog old man, and they're digital children.
Right.
Books are things that are on shelves that smell nice.
Right.
That's about
So
it.
they have this just really bizarre interaction. Michael Cera's like, all right, let's start over. And he's like, and they start over and then he's like, Obama, perhaps we could do something with Obama. And so they just make these random, they just make these mentions. And he takes them as fact.
Yeah.
Obama wants to do something with me. Maybe Obama will dream about you. And and he's like,
That
"That's
was
what
all
Obama
they
wants to do
said.
with me."
That was it. Maybe he will. And he took that and ran with it because it was the most impressive thing that he could attach himself to.
So there's also this interaction with the assistant that's there. She's a young, attractive woman in her early 20s.
Yep. We'll call her Xanthippe because
Why?
that was her character's name on The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Oh, okay.
That's the only place I know her from. I like her. She's a really funny, sarcastic actress.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never seen her. I've never seen that show. So anyway,
she
so
made me
says-
super uncomfortable in this.
Yeah, and she says to him, she's like, I've had dreams about you too. And he's like, oh, really? He's like, what am I doing in your dreams? And you guys kind of just being funny or whatever. And she's like, oh no, we can't.
We fuck.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a PG show here, right?
No.
She pretty much says that.
Not at first though.
No,
at
it
first.
takes a little bit, but yeah.
But you can definitely tell that there's an interest level in her for him that shouldn't be there.
No, she wants to know though, is the real thing as good as the dream? The answer is obviously, even before anything happens, no. The answer is no.
No.
You're not gonna meet somebody at a cosplay convention and they're not gonna be Misato. They're gonna be Jenny from the block.
So she gives him her number and it's like, hey, listen, if you're bored tonight or whatever, you want to get together and hang out, here's my number, give me a call or whatever.
Which
And
is
he's like,
fine because she knows the city,
Yeah. And she's the
it's-
assistant at the place that doesn't on face value, there's nothing weird about that.
right. And he's a client on top of it. So that's
Right,
a huge
exactly.
thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the fact that she's had this weird, sexy dream about him, obviously she's angling for that off the bat. So he goes back and he calls the wife and he tells the wife what's going on. And she's just kind of she's just not impressed.
She's checked out. She's gone.
Yeah. And their relationship is bizarre to me because it's not that she's looking for an out,
Right.
but like she's gonna take one if she can, and she does. I mean, that's spoiler alert. She does.
Yeah.
Um,
I given what went on at the time, I don't blame her.
no, it's gay, and shit gets crazy. So he's trying to work things out and trying to figure it out, and everything's good. Then there's a moment where the article that he was talking to about the woman is released. So all of this information that he's putting into his book is now become available, which his whole thing was like, I got to do it before she releases the article. And he freaks the fuck out.
Yeah, but he's been talking about writing this book for like 20 years.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is he's been talking about writing it forever.
And it's not like it's a story idea where like Futurama decides that the whole crux of the story is going to be to subliminally sell you underwear in your dreams. I mean, it's a thing about ants and biology. It's open source because I can't think of the right word.
Right.
It's free reign. You get free reign over the ants.
Right. So he is shown to be an underachiever who bets on himself but refuses to cash in is the best kind of way to put it. You know what I mean?
He achieves enough to not get flack from people.
I mean, he's a tenured professor at a very prestigious university. Like, so he's not a dumb guy. He just doesn't do what he needs to do.
And with tenure, it is rumored professors can get lazy.
Yeah, it's happened
When
many
you're
times.
tenured. Also, we have him reference his degree from college a couple of times in talking with people to try to one-up them. And I want to say personally, it's great you went to college. It's great you know a lot of stuff. But you know a lot about a specialized subject. That doesn't mean you're a fucking expert on everything.
Right.
And that's the attitude a lot of people get when they realize they're really smart about something. Like you have an amazing vocabulary and a lot of fucking emerald money to back it up, but you stutter like a pig that just learned what English was.
Devour feculence. Anyway.
Feculence. I like that word. Yeah.
Do you not watch Severance?
I think we're 4 or 5 episodes into the second season.
Okay.
And the stage 1, the acting thing that my kids do in school, their stage group, they made it to the state finals again. And that was stress enough for both of them because one was a stage manager, one was in charge of like costumes and tattoos on this ex-gangbanger character who had Nazi tattoos on him. So it was great that we had Pete Hegseth as an example for that. But so we decided we're going to watch like The Great North and Abbott Elementary because we don't want to weigh them down with anything else. Because I had a feeling with what's going on with Helly, things are going to get really, really dark.
Stressful. They get very
after
stressful.
they met. After they were in, we'll call it the hilly pasture room. Yeah. That's the last thing I remember.
I will say that you have to go back to it because
we will. We absolutely
very
will.
Satisfying. I mean, it's obviously we knew that there's going to be another season, so like it doesn't necessarily end on a cliffhanger, but like it's leading to what we're going to get to. But they really stuck the landing.
Good. This is one of my favorite
the White
mysteries
Lotus this season, which I thought the landing in the White Lotus this season did not hit.
Do you know, I just found out that Mike White, not our Mike White, but the other Mike White, is like in charge of that whole thing? The guy that wrote School of Rock?
Yeah, that's his show. Yeah.
That's crazy because he looks like such a dork that I would be friends with.
I love the
I
White
just
Lotus.
found that out
great.
yesterday.
I think it's great.
I may
It's
give
such
that
a white
a shot.
people show, but still.
Yeah.
It's the most Caucasian show out there, I think, but it's fine. Anyway, sorry, getting back to this. So, there's the point where this article is published. All of this information he was looking to release out there is now out there, and he gets pissed. He loses it. And at that point, everybody's dreams shift to nightmares of him killing them. And the whole thing changes. It's not fun anymore. And it creates this really interesting idea that all of these people are terrified of him and can't
Yep.
be near him and can't see him, but he has done nothing wrong.
Right. Right.
And they talk about
this,
that a lot.
Yeah, this is where it tries to go into cancel culture territory, and I think it misses the mark, but that's okay. But it might not, because I don't know yet. I'm not sure.
It's fair. So now they're trying to do they're telling him he can't come back to teach. They're trying to do these things with the students so they won't be afraid of him, but they just can't.
Oh, that meeting in the gym was rough.
Rough.
Rough. Yeah.
He's just like standing there and he's like, "Hi, can you come a few feet closer?"
And in my head, I'm like, that's not a good idea. These people don't want to see him.
No. So, and then like it kind of breaks when he's told that he can't come to his daughter's play and see his daughter perform in the play.
Yeah, which I thought was a weird division. It should have been his job. That's what it should have been.
I think they do that to symbolize that it's everything.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
It just didn't feel right. Like, and then when he goes, because he goes,
of course he goes,
and he fights with the woman at the door. It's like, I understand why you set this whole thing up because we're close to the resolution of what's going on. But he didn't shave. He didn't wear a disguise. I know he probably feels superior. Like, why do I have to do this? I've done nothing wrong. But you know what? I just apologized for America. So sometimes you got to take a bullet for the shitheads.
Right. So, but it's like, I get the idea of him doing nothing wrong. And like, but then her reaction when the door gets shut on her hand and she starts screaming, "He attacked me. Paul Matthews attacked me." And like his reaction, of course, is not, nobody does it. Nobody does what they should do there. Not one.
No, he does not do anything a normal human being would ever do.
It was an accident.
You go, holy shit. Here's my belt. Let's put a fucking tourniquet on that. I'll pick up your finger. Let's go. And you just tell them, because if you didn't mean to do it, you're going to care and you're going to help.
Right.
You're not going to yell, "I'm innocent. I didn't do anything. Don't cancel me. I'm Nick Cage." Nobody gives a shit. You're acting like a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
Who's killed people in their dreams. Not real. But I did wake up a couple of times thinking that my car was stolen. And I had to go outside and touch it just to make sure. So dreams can be strong, but
yes, they can. Yeah.
But yeah, this is somebody's trying to say something, and I'm not sure I agree with what they're trying to say with it.
Yeah. And so what ends up happening, and this is mild spoiler stuff. So we then fast forward. Him and the wife are no longer together.
Wait. Before that, he does his Japanese suicide forest apology thing.
Oh my God, it's so cringy.
It starts off okay, almost, and it gets into, who was that dipshit that sang an apology? Like, what somebody sings, right? What's her Katie?
Sings an apology?
It was a YouTuber. She had a show on Netflix, I want to say. I don't know if I'm thinking of the right person. Real thick lipstick, couldn't sing that well.
I have no idea.
She sang an apology for some shit she did, and everybody was like, "Fuck you." That's what it felt like. I'm gonna look it up and see.
Okay.
Idiot sings apology.
I'll wait, I guess.
Colleen Ballinger.
I've never heard that name in my life.
Oh my God. I typed in "idiot sings apology" for real. And it was that first one. And then we have Katherine Heigl sings apology song to Seth Rogen. Katherine Heigl can jump off a cliff.
Yes,
Colleen Ballinger apologized for racist remarks.
Okay. So he's, makes this bad
Miranda
apology.
Sings. Miranda Sings. That's the name of it.
That doesn't ring a bell either.
If you saw a picture, you'd be like, "Ugh, I remember her."
All right.
I'm not going to show you though, because I won't do that to you.
All right, fair. And for the fourth time, he does the apology.
Right.
And it's just super cringy. He starts crying and like, "Oh, I understand what you're going with." And it's just, and the wife tells him, the wife is like, "It seems so phony and so fake. And you just like made things worse."
Yeah. The daughter's embarrassed, like disgustedly embarrassed.
The kids are getting picked on at school. Like, it's so they end up breaking up and separating because of this.
Hmm.
And then we fast forward and we're like, I don't know how far down the line, but you know, at least a few months or maybe a year or something.
Yeah.
And it's stopped. He's no longer in everyone's dreams. Mostly, I'm guessing like the idea is because he's no longer part of the common psyche is the idea.
Maybe that's the interesting. It's a good and the bad part about it is we're given no explanation as to how it started, why he was the first one, or how it ended. But it sort of feels like once he didn't have his strong feelings one way or the other, it all went away. Like once he was on his own, he was okay, maybe.
Right.
But they don't explain it. They do a little bit. There's a collective subconsciousness that he somehow figured out how to tap into. And that's the most explanation we get. But then we see in a brilliant form of plagiarism how they utilize it, this knowledge. And it's scary, stupid, and stupidly scary. I don't want to spoil too much. I mean, I did spoil it earlier in a comment that doesn't seem related. So there you go.
Right. So, it's so I this is I think the second time I've watched this. And I really liked it on my first viewing of it. I had it in my top 10 of the year. But honestly, it didn't stick for me as well as I thought it was going to on this viewing. What were your thoughts? Because it was your first watch.
Okay, so Nicolas Cage looks almost exactly like my father did in his 30s and 40s and early 50s. So this was kind of hard to watch a person walk around thinking they're better than everybody else when clearly you can see they're not. But they will never, ever look into themselves to try and be a better person or to fit in.
All right, Chris, dream scenario. It's an audio. Do you recommend and what is your grade?
It's a light recommend because I don't think the details of the story play out as well as they could. It doesn't go in a way that makes sense as a human being half the time. His reactions are over the top, and I really think this would have benefited from a more serious actor. I've been racking my brain, but I don't know that many people in his age range that would be like. I think if you gave it to, say, like we had talked last week, like a Michael Shannon type of guy. Is that his name from Superman? Yeah. Either or Michael Sheen even would be different, and it would be. But people hire Nicolas Cage for specific reasons, and I'm tired of it. His freakouts don't do anything for me. I don't think he has any gravitas or strength behind them, especially here. And I don't buy into the whole Nick Cage thing. I like the movies. I like Mandy. I like the stuff he's done. But I don't like him because of one specific thing he does. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It makes complete sense.
So, yeah. So my least favorite part in Color Out of Space is when he freaks out. But at least in that story, the whole family is going mad from a cosmic space rock being. And madness makes sense there. Here, it's a little freak out, and it's really high pitched, and it's almost like he's trying to do a woman's voice, but he's not. And it's just, I don't know. And then how he looked. There's just some things. There's some names. There was one name for the longest time I would not entertain enjoying as a name for characters or anything because the person did a lot of mental harm to me, so I don't care. Same thing with this guy, acting completely apathetic to everything going on around him, thinking he's better than everybody else, sitting there all smug like, and then getting pissed when shit doesn't go his way. It hit a little too close to home. I'm not a fan of it, but I think other people could get something out of it. It just pissed me off. Well, because that's not how I would treat my family in this instance. I certainly wouldn't go and try to have premature ejaculation with Xanthippe, which is a very weird sentence. I recognize. We saw this idea 20 years ago in Futurama when they tried to sell us Lightspeed briefs in our dreams. And this is almost like a shitty prequel to that episode. So I have as much respect for this as I do for the movie that also ripped off the Futurama idea of the shark octopus hybrid. That was in like the second episode back in 99. And yeah, it could be coincidence, but at the end of this movie, spoilers, you could just skip what I'm saying. At the end of this, they figure out how to use people's dreams to sell them shit in their dreams, like Lightspeed briefs. So that part just kind of fucked it for me. It's like, come on. My kids looked at it and they're like, Futurama. Of course, they grew up on it. That was their nutrition. But so I don't hate it. It looks really nice. The dreams I thought were good and varied, which is really tough in a dream movie. If you watch 14 Nightmare on Elm Street, you see that some people's dreams are very, very boring, apparently. But this I thought was a pretty good small scale idea kind of thing. Like, and the beginning started off and I'm like, oh, she's dreaming about that movie Nope. Because keys fall from the sky, a shoe falls from the sky, she gets sucked up. I'm like, where's everybody else? Where's Jordan? Jordan's sitting at home going, I did that. So I don't know. It looks very good. I would say that the look matches the feel as well as something like We Cloned Tyrone.
Yep.
I'm not saying it's bright and vibrant. But I'm saying
it's shot on 16 millimeter.
It was?
Yeah, it was shot in 16 millimeter.
Wow.
On Flex, I believe, and then digitized afterwards.
That's okay. The technical side of this, I would say, is flawless. That's really good.
Yeah.
The story needed work. I'm not happy with the story. I'm not happy with the look, even though Nick Cage's look is like 50% of people you see in Home Depot. I'm going to give it a C, just right in the middle, because there are so many things that personally affect me. Just looking at this and hearing the way people react, it's just not cool.
Okay.
But it is well made. So on a personal level, a C. But as a movie, I'd give it a B. But I'm not going to ever watch this again. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm a little more easy on it, I think, than you are. I definitely had this on my top 10 in 23. I don't feel like it held up on its second watch to the level that I thought I enjoyed of it. And I mean, just I'm always more tight with my eye when I'm rewatching something and I pick up things that I missed. And
oh yeah,
like most people, but like it just, for me, like it didn't stick the landing was the issue. It ends in this like, okay, yeah, that's really kind of what you're gonna do with it.
Yeah, it peters out. It just kind of
really does. It was like, but then I'm like, well, how do you end it? And I'm like, I'm sure you could have come up with something more, but either way, like its look, its feel. I agree that Nicolas Cage is miscast in this. I think Ron Swanson would have actually been a much better actor for this.
That would have been interesting because he's more of a I can identify with that guy than Nicolas Cage is.
Well, and him, why am I forgetting what his real name is? I just always say
Nick Offerman. Holy
Offerman.
Shit, yeah.
So like, I mean, you know, Nick Offerman's got the chops. If you've seen that episode of The Last of Us, where him and the other guy are together pretty much for the whole episode, like you know that Nick Offerman has got the chops.
He's an actor. He's not just a comedian. He is truly an actor. Yeah,
he's awesome. He's awesome. He would have been excellent in this role.
Yeah,
but I think it's not bad. It's just could be better.
Yes, and my issues with it are my own personal demons. I want to make sure I say that because
I don't have any personal demons attached to it, so maybe
that's good. That's good.
So I think when I graded it last over the top 10, I want to say it was probably like a B plus. Bringing it down a little bit on the rewatch, down to a B minus. I still think it's good. I do still recommend it. I think it's if you're into the A24 style of weird and kind of, because they call it a horror movie. It's not really a horror movie. It's not a comedy. It's not like, it's just kind of lives in its own kind of little world.
Yeah. I
with the
mean, it's a
elements of
horror
all these
movie.
different things.
It's a horror movie insofar as it's a surreal nightmare. That was not a pun.
No, I know exactly.
Yeah.
So there you have it. That's Dream
Yeah.
Scenario. In a complete 180, our next
Yes.
film, 1973's Jeremy.
Yep.
Let's play the trailer for that.
A happy tune, long enough to last me all through the afternoon. I have the New York Times.
I hope you like this song. It's all you hear.
Yeah, I get the feeling that I think the trailer is probably just going to be the song Jeremy.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Two next and favorite city in a close second and third. As they come into the stretch, that's triple bed and two necks. That's triple bed and two necks. Triple bed and two necks as they cross the wire. It's triple bed.
Does anyone else know you do this?
Nope. It's a secret.
Good. I wouldn't tell them if I were you.
You know what else I do?
What?
Promise you won't laugh?
Promise.
Well, sometimes when I'm walking down the street, I see some guy ahead of me. You know, just any guy. Well, I want to race him. You know, just me and him. I create an imaginary finish line. I call the race in my head.
I don't believe it.
And they're off. The man in the blue suit has a two-length lead as they come out of the starting gate, and Jeremy Jones is a disappointing second. On the outside, Jeremy makes his move. At the 16 pole, that's Jones and the man in the blue suit, neck and neck. As they're coming down the home stretch, that's head and head. The man in the blue suit and Jeremy Jones, the man in the blue suit.
He looks
and
like a
Jeremy
fucking
Jones.
maniac.
As they cross the wall.
Yeah.
And it's Jeremy Jones.
Okay.
A film with nothing going for it, but the people who love it.
There you go, Jeremy, 1973. That's it. The tagline of a film that's got nothing going for it except for the people that love it is very interesting, because that's really what this film is.
Yeah,
It stars
it's like
Robbie
Clerks.
Yeah, it stars Robbie Benson, Glynis O'Connor, Leonardo Semino shows up a little bit, but they're really the two of them are the main stars. It's the story of Jeremy, who is a sophomore, and the story of Glynis, who plays Susan.
Yep.
And she has just moved to this school for the gifted in New York. And it's just the two of them being awkward teenagers and falling in love. That's it. There's no there's no thing, like there's no catch. There's nothing to it.
There's no conflict like Romeo and Juliet, which basically this is, but without death.
Or there's no problems with the families. There's no like
True.
It's kind of like a after school special, and I know the director.
I know. Yeah.
Some after school specials.
As soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh shit, I know what's going on here.
Yeah, Arthur Barron did. It worked as a producer on a number of ABC after school specials.
Hey, those are very, very well remembered, so I can't give him
for
shit
sure.
for those.
Oh no, I'm not at all. Not at all.
As schmaltzy
But,
as they were.
This film feels like that, but there's even
Yeah.
less. Like all of those after school specials had some sort of issue arise in them.
Yep.
Some sort of conflict.
Yep.
That this film just doesn't have that.
No,
It's
there's
the
no
two of them being
drugs
awkward and
or-
falling in love.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's-
Jeremy's like, and
Yeah.
Jeremy's interesting because he's this amazing cellist and like also a very good basketball player, and those things don't really go together. And he's like nerdy with like thick glasses, and he's like tall and skinny and like kind of a nerd. And she's very pretty and she's a dancer. So it's like I thought maybe they were going with these opposites attract type thing, but then it doesn't even play into it.
Nope. And she's early 70s pretty, which is which is
Really
she
the
goes,
best type of pretty.
is she gonna brush her hair or anything? That's 70s type of pretty. No, she's very natural. Like, you could have put her in a different dress with the same hair and makeup, and she could have been Juliet. And that's obviously what they're going for. So,
yeah. And Glynis O'Connor's been in a number of things over the years too. She's her two this role and The Boy in the Plastic Bubble are the two things she has for. But she still works today. She was on Power, and she was on like a number of things that and has been in virtually every crime serial TV show that's been out there. So she's made a good career for herself. And as we said, Robbie Benson, the voice of Beast in Beauty and the Beast, and he also had a run on Friends for a couple years. And he's Dr. Maurer in Severance. So there
have I got to that? What?
Season 2, episode 5 is his first time he shows up.
Okay, we might not have done that. Okay, yeah. Okay,
So-
good.
So the thing with this film, though, is I noticed is I did a little bit of looking around, and I'm like, why did he want us to cover this? And
Right.
it is really a kind of an odd film for us to cover, but at the same time, it was a lost film for a while. It wasn't available for a number of years. It has this, as you said earlier in the show, there's this kind of racy scene with the two of them, and they were both only 16 or 17 years old at the time of filming it. So it's not like a nude scene in terms of like it's a nude sex scene, but the two of them are nude and they're pictured nude, but they don't show anything.
Right.
So there's that. The film was lost for a while, and it's actually got a nostalgia thing for a chunk of people. So, and I can see watching this why it would hit like that for somebody.
Yeah.
It doesn't hit like that for me because I'd never seen it before now. And the good things I can say about it is it's shot well for a cheap budget. I think the two of them, Robbie and Glynis, do an excellent job. But the thing is, it also made me, and this is where, this is where a lot of people say why they enjoy it. It felt real.
It did.
I remember being that awkward teenager who liked a girl who, rather than ask them out or talk to them, just followed them blindly around a mall like a weirdo fucking stalker. Like, and in any other instance, him following her around, he would seem like a stalker, but he doesn't. He seems innocent because you understand. I'm not so old that I forget what it was like to pine for a girl. That like, it's your everything at that point. When you're 15, 16 years old, I see it with my son now. He's got, he's got his first real girlfriend, and like the two of them can't be apart for like an extended amount of time.
Yeah.
Otherwise they start to like freak out.
You really do forget that how big your emotions are when you're that age.
And everything is the end of the world.
Oh my God. Yeah. We have had so many conversations here. Nova thinks she ruins everything. Like every relationship she's in. And it's like, Nova, your first boyfriend had sexually assaulted you, and the second one was a rebound. And you acknowledged that, and you two broke up okay. How are you fucking everything up? It's that one piece of shit that sexually assaulted you, whose parents gave you alcohol without talking to us, who I want to kill. I probably will burn their house down one day.
One day.
That's yeah. Like, you're not fucking everything up. Things have happened around you. And talking them down and making sure that they're mentally okay and everything because of how hard. And as adults, we look at it and we're like, I don't even know who the second person I dated was anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do. You really have to remember that the way he's seeing the stuff, the way my kids are seeing stuff, they're processing this differently than we do as adults. Because having a crush on somebody or falling in love is so unlike anything else you've experienced up to that point.
Yeah.
And it can wreck you.
Yeah. And you're truly not ready to process it. Like, you're just not ready. Like, I wasn't ready to process truly being in love until I was in my 20s. Like,
you can't. You can't.
Yeah. Your brain is not ready for it.
Yeah. There's very heavy physical attraction. But as you grow also too, you have to think that your definition but also what you want out of love changes.
Mm.
So I think it's okay to say that you're in love, that these characters are in love, but it's different than being engaged because they're at least 2 years away from that.
Right.
And the human brain doesn't really finish until, I know in males it's like until like 27. All the connections aren't done being made. And yeah, so I was very different from the time I was 16 to 18 to 20 to 22. It's a huge, because you're all of your experiences, your personal stuff is going to build on that. And then say you grew up with parents who thought love was a transactional thing, like I put a roof over your head, so you're going to do what I say. You may take until you're 51 years old to finally trust that somebody actually does love you for who you are and wants the best for you.
That's a different thing, though.
No,
like,
but that's
when you're
all
choosing.
But
like,
that's all part of it, right? Because like I didn't know that was a thing, but I fell for people hard, especially Ellen. But it was my feelings. I knew like I don't ever want to be apart from this person. She understands me and likes me and wants to be near me, but I didn't know how far or wide it could be. So yeah, I guess that's all. Just don't play it down. You feel what you feel, and it just means different things at different times.
Yeah, and it's interesting the way they show that in this film, because they don't undercut it. They don't undermine it. Like it's the type of thing where they're both. She's supposed to be a junior and he's supposed to be a sophomore, and like they have fallen very hard for each other. And spoiler alert, it does not end in a happy way. But it doesn't end like there's no like car crash or like somebody gets killed in a like
doesn't
robbery.
even
You're like
it doesn't even
what would happen in real life. It's literally what would happen in real life.
And nothing says they won't meet back up.
Right.
Because that's
and
possible.
And her dad is like, oh, it's a shame because he seems like a nice young boy, and like it's all just very, very pedestrian. But something about it kind of works for me, and I was really surprised when I was done watching it, and I wasn't like, fuck this, you know?
Yeah, I was surprised he didn't bite the recess lady's breast though.
What? Oh, Jeremy. Yeah, okay.
I learned a new song yesterday. I've been playing it the whole time.
Yeah, I know. I'm ignoring it.
Because I didn't want to talk about this movie.
Makes you feel things.
Yeah.
Makes you feel things.
Makes me raise my arms up in a V. I was originally going to try to work in as many of the lyrics to the song as I could, and I'm like, that's too much fucking work. I want to have a real genuine review. So yeah.
Well, I think
at first I thought the song Jeremy in part had to do with this, because it's somebody that just desperately wants attention and doesn't get it in the song, and I'm like, maybe it has to do. No, it's about actual people that shot up classrooms. But so that was kind of disappointing. I wanted it to be something happier. I'm not a big fan of the 70s look, I think is what it comes down to.
Yeah, and the print's not great. So
no, I watched the YouTube version too.
I watched the MGM Plus version for most of it.
Was it the correct format, correct ratio?
It was. Yeah, it was.
Mine was square.
Yeah.
Like the main character.
Recommend and what's your grade?
I'm not going to recommend this because I don't want to recommend a movie with naked children in it to people. I fast forwarded through that part because I read ahead in the book and I was ready to go.
Yep.
And that scene, the love scene in this movie with the two minors, took up this like half of the screen time Darth Vader had in A New Hope. It was that long. Darth Vader had like 10 to 12 minutes. This is a 5-minute love scene. And I read some of the stuff that Robbie Benson had to say about the set. And after I read that, the daughter kissing the father on the mouth didn't seem as weird. Let me correct that. I understood why the director told her to do that. Because this movie is filled with garbage people behind the scenes, apparently. Yeah. So I'm not happy with that. I did like seeing Benson say that once he saw the director kiss his co-star, because Robbie was 16, how much fucking screen experience do you have kissing people, right? He kissed her in front of him, like, you do it like this. And it's like, no, dude, in 72, 73, 72 for filming probably, that's not cool.
No.
So there's quite a few ick, like slimy ice skin kind of. So I can't do that. This is some just. I will say what I got out of this is that Anakin and Padme's dialogue is kind of genuine in Attack of the Clones, but it's delivered by people that are 10 years older than the people that should be delivering those lines.
Yeah.
I have so much bad poetry and shitty song lyrics and art all around. Yeah, all in sketchbooks and stuff. And I'm totally embarrassed that I could like cringe myself into a singularity and start a new Bing Bang with it. But like, that's what happens. That's how I felt. So, you know, my kids will come across it. I don't care. It's not like I'm drawing pictures of dirty shit. It's just all about, you know, I can't live without you, blah, 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 that shit. Yeah, they really did look like they fell for each other. And that's the important thing, because that's the whole point of the movie. I didn't like it. It did get me playing bass again. But I don't know. I can't recommend it, and I'm going to give it I'm going to go see, because I have no opinion.
Okay.
It's got a lot going for it and a lot going against it. So I figure that all evens out. C+.
If I say, you know, looking at it just as the film and taking away all of the other stuff, like it's pretty good for what it is. And so I'm not going to not recommend it.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
I do.
But I think the two of them did a really good job with it, what they were given. It felt real. It got me a little bit in those feels and brought back those memories of being like 15 and falling for a girl really hard and just not knowing how to deal with it. So yeah, it got me there. But other than that, there's nothing like, the songs are terrible. Like, and the two of them sing the songs and they're just terrible. Like
that time, that era of music in the 70s, those songs were so bad. I didn't even like the stuff. I looked up the top 10 at the time, and I remember them. I didn't like any of them. They're all too soft.
I love that stuff, actually. So let's do a quick pull up here. What was it? 1973 hits. All right. Pop hits 1973. We've got Love Me Like a Rock by Paul Simon.
That's okay.
Walk on the Wild Side, Lou Reed.
That's fine.
Give Me Love, George Harrison.
Don't know it.
Diamond Girl, my boy, Seals and Croft.
We're starting to get there.
I love Summer Wind by Seals and Croft. It's one of my favorite songs ever.
Which one? What is it?
Summer Wind. Is it Summer Wind? Summer Wind makes me feel.
Oh yeah, Blowing Through the Jasmine. I like the typo negative cover of that, but it is a good song. I do like that one. It's weird.
Killing Me Softly with This Song, Roberta Flack.
Yep.
Tie a Yellow Ribbon Around the Old Oak Tree.
There we go. That song was the bane of my early existence.
So stupid.
When I first heard that song, I thought it was already 25 years old. And I was like 2.
There's some good stuff here. You still got some Marvin Gaye, some Three Dog Night, some Jane Birkin, some Al Green.
But there's a lot of wispy folk at the time as well, which is what I would consider. I know that's not an actual genre,
no, I know,
but it's
easy listening. There's a lot of easy listening.
Yeah. I think fairy folk is another, but there's not enough bagpipe or penny tin whistle in it. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
He had Me and Mrs. Jones. All right, we're done with talking about this movie. Let's talk about what Joe watched this week, which I do believe is The Mummy.
Oh, that's right.
So let's see.
Well, hello, Bill. Hello, Chris. And hello, OTC Nation. It's your boy Joe here, and this week Bill took me back to the summer when I was 22. I had all the discs in my back. What a time. Doesn't 1999... Oh, I'm sorry. He made me watch The Mummy. I got ahead of myself there. Doesn't 1999 feel like a fucking century ago?
Really does.
Yes.
Apologies if this sends anyone into a spiral of existential dread that would give Franz Kafka a 10-point boner. But the world seemed like a bigger place back then. The incontinent orange rapist wasn't even a reality TV show host getting his literal diaper changed between takes. He was just a joke of a relic of a cautionary tale from the 1980s going through his 17th bankruptcy. 1999 was a pretty good year for movies, too. So it doesn't just exist in our memories of a pre-9/11 world. There was actually something there. From both mainstream and cult worlds alike, we had Lake Placid, Mystery Alaska. These are all movies that I love, by the way.
Mystery Alaska was
Placid,
ridiculously
Mystery
expensive for a
Alaska.
long time.
Idle Hands, which is a movie that I
Love
adore.
Idle Hands.
Detroit Rock City. Sleepy Hollow, a.k.a. the one where Christina Ricci is hotter than an ant under a sociopathic kid's magnifying glass.
Fair.
The still heinously underrated Mystery Men was poking
Yes.
fun at superhero tropes long before it was the cool thing to do. The motherfucking Boondock Saints. If you want to watch a movie that is as bad as Bloody Bloody Bible Camp, but cost 2,750 times more to make, go ahead and watch the Freddie Prinze-helmed Wing Commander.
Oh,
Yes.
man.
Fucking
Yes.
love that
Rafi.
video game. I was so excited for
Yeah.
that movie. And finally, before I get to this movie, my vote for not only the best film remake of all time, but my favorite movie from 1999. Can you take a guess?
99. Strange Days.
It's House on Haunted Hill. Watching Jeffrey Rush do his impression of Vincent Price while still
Yeah, he
making
was-
it his own
yeah.
thing is a great way to take a 90-minute break from reality. And
Yeah.
here we go with a movie that inspired one of my all-time favorite rides at Universal Studios Orlando. We open up on ancient Egypt, and where the fuck was this CGI when I was sitting incredulously in the theater during the, spoiler alert, last 20 minutes of The Mummy 2, and The Rock is like a big old fuck-off scorpion monster the size of a T-Rex, but one that looked like an 8-year-old with only a fair amount of talent drew him onto the film.
Yep.
It looks great. This movie, not the other thing. It looks great as notable character actor. Arnold Vosloo gives his staff of Osiris to the Pharaoh's lady. And while he knows ancient magics, he knows how to keep very fit and muscular in a time when Men's Fitness magazine was still like 3,000 years from releasing its first issue. One thing he doesn't know is how to keep his shit quiet. Because the Pharaoh finds out about their affair, they ice him, the Pharaoh, like he was Little Caesars Arena before a Red Wings game. And when I tell you that even upon my maybe 4th or 5th time seeing this movie, the way they 86 Vosloo sends a shiver up my spine. They wrap him up like a mummy, alive. Okay, we're at like a 6.5, maybe a 7 here on the cringe scale. They put him in a sarcophagus. Oh, we're up to an 8. And they pour an entire vase of flesh-eating scarab beetles in there to keep him company and put the lid on.
Probably should have wrapped
This
him up
death
first.
should be called the Bo Derek because it's a 10 on the fuck that scale.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We then meet all of our main players in the appropriate order: the hero, the damsel, the damsel's brother, who I wouldn't let tag along to the fucking store to get a pack of smokes, much less a multi-day trip into the desert, and the comic relief. And Brendan Fraser is as much a leading adventureman hero guy in this as the sky is blue and the economy is shaky.
At best.
Rachel Weisz, on the same hand, is as capable and funny and leading lady-esque here. Yep.
Gotcha.
I can speak English. They've got more chemistry between them going on than they do at 3M Laboratories.
Ooh, there's a weird
It's
cut.
a little hard to go over the plot here. Apart from Ancient Mummy comes to life and
Yep.
makes things very difficult for some enterprising people who, unlike other adventure movie heroes, are not so insistent that things belong in a museum.
Mm.
It's a bit
She is a
hard
librarian.
to go plot point by point here because this thing clips along at a pace faster than a cheetah on meth, even though it's a 2-hour film. Or me
Wow.
on a morning where I had an extra cup of coffee and forgot to take my Adderall.
Mm.
It's a whirlwind of, now here's this action beat, and wait, here's a joke, and ooh, scary monster, and oh, are these two gonna kiss? And fuck those scarab beetles.
And the
I'd
eye
rather be
makeup
in
they
the
put
Upper
on her.
Peninsula,
Very
face to
nice.
face with a moose than deal with those fucking beetles. Fuck that. There's 2 points stuck in my brain here as before I wrap this up. One is that while summer blockbusters have kind of always been a thing in our lifetimes, Jurassic Park was like the Steve Austin of summer movies, and it just revitalized the whole concept. And the late
Yeah.
90s had some great, like, big, dumb, fun movies to thank for it. The Mummy included. This movie's
Yeah.
great. I enjoyed every single second, even though this is, like, again, my probably 5th or 6th time watching it. The fact that they couldn't capitalize and actually recreate the OG Universal monsters is a testament to how inept, uncreative, and soulless the business people in the movie business are. Prescient, huh? Relevant. The other point is related, sort of. I just praised the big, dumb, fun summer blockbuster, but at some point, they became all the studios wanted to make for like 25 years. Like, do you think if Back to the Future had never been made and you presented that idea to a studio today that they would bankroll it? Or E.T.? Or anything that's not based on a comic book or an existing IP that the corporation owns? I mean, shit, we have shareholders to answer to. I mean, I don't know about anyone else. I haven't watched a single thing Marvel since Endgame because it's just too much, man. It's the 34th super kick in an indie match, and I'm making the Jim Cornette face over here. Sorry to end this on a down note. Here's the thing. The Good. Boy, this is one of the best examples of sometimes big budget Hollywood can just hit a big fucking home run. It's fun, it's funny, it's adventurous. Rachel Weisz is hotter than a welding torch, and it's just a really good time. The Bad. Let me go back a minute to The Good. The jokes in this are actually jokes and are actually funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking new. The Bad. I'm going to go back to how this didn't spawn and I can't emphasize this enough, a non-intertwined series of maybe like one per summer Universal monster movies. They've tried a few times with other ones, and boy, I don't know how I would have reacted if Bill had made me watch the Benicio del Toro Wolfman.
Oh, man.
Or the Tom Cruise The Mummy. I'm honestly not sure my blood pressure can take that. The Mummy gets a straight A, and I'll be back next week with The Mummy 2. Possibly subtitled The Scorpion King. I'm not going to look it up right now. Until then, be good, everyone.
All right. I'm really glad that held up, actually.
Yeah. I did like
I haven't
part
watched it
2.
in years, but I still have my heart still with that film. So
Well, it was exactly what you wanted. It was what the theaters needed, a good popcorn movie. And it's just, you go in, you have fun, and there's Encino Man, good for him, doing a great job, fantastic actor. And it was just nice to see everybody, even the bad guys, having fun. You could tell they were just sort of into it, regardless of what role they played. And that's kind of rare to see. I think you get it in like The Empire Strikes Back. You get it in this one. There's maybe the Avengers, the first Avengers, and it really does a lot for my mindset to know that everybody's on board. They all have the same idea.
it's
I don't
rare
know.
now. That's
It
rare
makes
these
it,
days.
yeah, but it really creates a cohesion that you can't fake. So,
Speaking of faking it, Reverend Scott,
Oh.
So before I get into the segment this week, I wanted to preface this by saying everything I recorded sounded like this. The entire fucking thing. So I had to go back and post and fix it the best I could. And hopefully I did, but I guess we'll find out.
And nobody cares.
Is that the noise you were hearing?
No, it wasn't.
Oh,
Having you review
shit.
my picks of Strange Darling and Presents.
You listen to it outside the cinema. We'll get to it eventually.
Yeah.
No, you won't.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. With Reverend Scott.
Bill, you son of a bitch.
I didn't know.
I know that you didn't know.
Hey there, Bill and Chris. This is
Gandalf.
Again, no, this is Reverend Scott. And this week I have quite the dilemma. I saw 2 movies last weekend, and I don't know if I have time to review both of them. One of them was a movie I took my kiddo to see, and she wanted to see Minecraft.
Oh.
The other movie was one I wanted to see, basically. I think I'll talk about that first and see if I have time to get back to Jack Black. Because this movie was another one-time showing at one theater on one day only. Luckily, no closed captions this time. And it was a horror comedy, that takes place on a late-night New York City ferry starring the man behind Art the Clown's black and white makeup as a black and white, short and creepy public domain Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse murderer.
I mean, there is nothing about that sentence that doesn't add up.
That's right, I saw Screamboat.
Oh, holy shit.
Now, I'm not sure if you've heard of this movie before.
I don't see people talking about that.
I've heard of it.
Well, I've been seeing talk about it online for quite a while now, mainly about the subject matter. Because the Mickey Mouse most people know and love started out as a whistling black and white steamboat captain with a big old black hat. And the very second that specific version of Mickey hit the public domain on January 1st of 2024, writer and director Stephen Lamorte and co-writer Matthew Garcia Dunn started writing out the script. By March, he was already posting the summary of the plot on Instagram. By April, the title of the movie was announced, and by May, they were already filming, using the distribution company Iconic Events, which has released other instant classics such as Cinderella's Revenge and Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. The latter I can only assume is about the time Peter Pan met Michael Jackson.
Really?
The whole thing just reeks of...
Let's just shit some stuff out now.
Now, credit to where credit is due, David Howard Thornton was cast to play the evil Steamboat Willie, and the makeup effects were seemingly very well done. Granted, he kind of reminded me of a slightly better version of the Ginger Dead Man with his small face, surrounded by giant ears and a big black hat. But I was pretty impressed nonetheless. And on top of that, they did a majority of the filming on location. TMZ said something about a decommissioned Staten Island ferry owned by Colin Jost and Pete Davidson from SNL. The fact that they were using a real ferry instead of a set or a green screen definitely helped everything, except for the lighting, of course.
Oh, God.
The people on this ferry journey are a mixture of crew that are, I would say, colorful, but they're not particularly. And there's some like regular passengers, quote unquote. And then there's the special group of young women dressed like princesses, out doing shots and wearing light up things and all that kind of stupid shit, celebrating a birthday. Their names were Cindy, Ariana, Jazzy, Bella, Ilsa, and Rory. All of them wearing very specific colored clothing. And if you feel like you've heard about princesses with similar sounding names wearing specific colors before, you're already just as clever as the writers of this movie.
I'm out. My head hurts.
I don't recall hearing it while in the theater exactly, but according to the wiki, they stuffed in catchphrases during the movie, such as, "It's a small world after all," "Be our guest," "Let it go," and "Dead men tell no tales." I guess that's kind of clever.
Couldn't fit in Country
Not really
Bear
sure what it
Jamboree.
It's annoying.
Yeah.
What it is.
There was a vague backstory for Steamboat Willie that's revealed during the film, kind of near the end, where they kind of find his secret hideout and find pictures and newspaper clippings he's got, and kind of vaguely references some other things that kind of turned him. Something about how he used to be a good mouse, but the city turned him bitter and evil, and now he stalks and murders those who dare to board his quote-unquote steamboat, which, as you can probably guess, is about all that happens in this movie.
That's some Scooby-Doo shit right there.
Yeah.
One by one, people see Steamboat Willie in the shadows or in the fog, and then they're impaled with forklifts or set on fire with blowtorches, skewered with harpoons, or just murdered with Mickey Mouse ears, all involving an oversized rat not much bigger than the leprechaun.
If that's the biggest stretch you're going to make me take, I can.
Yeah, that's not so bad. Yeah. Yeah, we've definitely seen worse.
If you just like cheesy, pun intended, gore and a lot of blood, that's probably the best part of the movie. And speaking of what's worse than the gore effects, that would be the acting. Well, I mean, like the lighting and the directing and the script too, but still. With the exception of like Steamboat Willie, who has no speaking lines, and the main actress, Allison Patel, as Selena, I'm doubting most of the actors got much of a script or direction at all.
The actors don't know what to do.
I'll say this much, at least the movie wasn't boring. Like, occasionally it got close. I mean, it's 102 minutes long, so I was very concerned going into this that I was going to even stay awake. But they spread out the Steamboat Willie scenes pretty evenly, and I know it never got old seeing him running around looking like he was only 2 feet tall. The fact that David Howard Thornton manages to make a little black and white mouse with oversized ears and a big black hat seem mildly intimidating and fun is no small feat.
Which you can't always pull off.
No, and
no matter who you are.
Filming of this movie started 1 month after the filming of Terrifier 3 ended, so I'm guessing that was no coincidence. So props to David Howard Thornton for pulling off 2 very different horror characters back to back.
Yeah, it's one of those rare, I'm going to come back and do the thing I'm famous for, and it works.
Correct.
It doesn't always happen that way.
As far as a recommendation, yeah, I guess. As long as you keep your expectations pretty low and know you're getting into a low budget-ish indie feeling horror with some comedy aspects. There's far more boring horror movies out there and far worse made horror movies. I mean, we've seen most of them on the past Halloween throwdowns. And by comparison, this is pretty decent.
Like, you want to talk about setting a bar really low?
Yeah.
But the best I can give it is probably a C+. Okay, I definitely don't have time for that old Jack Black today. Maybe next week. Besides, if you've seen him as Steve in a Minecraft trailer, you've basically seen most of the movie already.
Oh, it's really nice to see him actually not be a menacing fucking creep for once in a movie.
Sure, Chris. And last week, it was great to hear about Silver Bullet. I loved that movie growing up. Definitely a B+ review. I haven't seen it in years. It sounds like it still holds up better than the new Wolfman movie did.
Maybe.
Right?
Maybe.
Okay.
Won't disagree.
In Tenebrae, I'll say that was probably an A- review. Anything that turns me from almost no interest to wanting to rush out and watch it exceeds a B. I'm a huge fan of Suspiria, so it sounds like a must-watch for me.
No one asked.
Okay, that's about it for this week. So until the next public domain childhood icon turns into a homicidal maniac, peace and love, guys. Bill, Chris, Joe, and Reverend Scott. 4 great tastes that taste great together.
Let's all fuck. Ah,
Gross.
nah, not a fan of that.
I really hate like the public domain, like when the Winnie the Pooh stuff.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it. I won't watch it. I won't watch
I
it.
did hear that part 2 is actually a decent horror movie.
I mean, I'll never watch it, so.
I might, but I don't know. I don't
Whatever,
know.
dude.
I have to I would have to watch Lamageddon and Velocipaster first,
Nice.
which are both real movies.
Thank you to Andrew for giving us our films this week. If you would like to support the show and get some films featured on the show, join the Patreon, patreon.com/outside the cinema. I'm not sure what's going on next week. I think we might be done with Patreon picks, but I'm not positive. I got to dig in there and see. But thank you guys for hanging out, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Petty jealousies, orgies, and lesbian games.